for me to welcome him here. First, we have a pre-recorded talk, but Professor Zhao is here, and he's going to be able to answer questions. So just a brief introduction for those of you who don't know Xuanhe. I have been following his research, which is very innovative from a theoretical perspective in solid mechanics to very applied concepts. So he's one of the few people, very theoretical, who also realizes many of these concepts. His undergraduate was in Tianjin University. Then he had a master's in University of British Columbia and a PhD in Harvard University. He was first an assistant professor at Duke University, but then moved to MIT, where he has the Darbeloff Career Development Chair and Noyes Career Development Professorship. He has more than 200 papers and has been cited more than 20,000 times. He has multiple awards, including the NSF Career, ONR Young Investigator Award, and multiple others. So with no further ado, we can play Professor Zhao's talk.
Thank you so much for the invitation and the kind introduction. It's a great pleasure and honor to give this talk at this symposium. My name is Xuanhe Zhao from MIT. Today, I'll talk about magnetic soft robots. I'll discuss both the fundamentals and the applications of magnetic soft robots. The motivation for magnetic soft robots in my group is especially in clinical translation operations. Basically, these small soft robots will operate inside human bodies for different tasks, such as drug delivery, diagnosis, imaging, various type of operations. There is a number of advantages of using magnetic actuation, such as the magnetic field can be remotely applied. The actuation is untethered. There is no need of electric wires, for example. Magnetic field, especially static magnetic field, is safe to human body. The magnetic field is also unshielded by human body. And also, there's already existing infrastructures to generate such a magnetic field to actuate soft robots. For example, previous work has been done by Professor Nelson, Citi, Abbott, Dupont, Velastri. If you're interested in this field, you can take a look at this paper. This is a brief summary of this field. The contribution of my group to the magnetic soft robot is this printing ferromagnetic domain, or the 3D printing of magnetic soft robots. We propose that we can embed ferromagnetic particles, so like small magnets, inside the ink of a 3D printer, and then there's a composite ink will be squeezed out of the nozzle of the 3D printer, and there is an electromagnet coupled around the nozzle of the 3D printer, and the electromagnet can polarize or can align those ferromagnetic particles so that the printed fibers is a programmed ferromagnetic domains. And you can imagine you can print 1D fiber, 2D sheets, and the 3D shapes with programmed shapes and the ferromagnetic domains. So that's the key idea. And in terms of the ink design, we need to make the ink to be ferromagnetic. So we embed this neodymium ion-bound microparticles inside the ink. The size of the particle is around 5 micrometer. Then you also your ink to be shear thinning and shear yielding in order to be able to 3D print that. So we mix this silicon nanoparticles inside the ink as well. So then this composite ink are both ferromagnetic and also shear thinning and shear yielding and 3D printable, basically. Then with that, we print different types of examples. So here, for example, this is one simple fiber with alternating ferromagnetic domains, right? Then once you apply an external field, magnetic field, the domains tend to align towards the applied field, right? Then you bend this fiber into this M shape. We also develop a theory and a model without any feeding parameter. We can accurately predict the deformation of this magnetic soft robots. You can see simulation results and experiment results. We just use one slide to briefly discuss this model. So the key idea is once you apply external magnetic field on a magnetic domain inside a soft robot, you generate a magnetic potential energy. And then you can take a derivative of this magnetic potential energy with deformation gradient, basically the kind of deformation of this robot. Then it generates a stress field. This we call it magnetic stress. This stress field actually accounts for the applied torque and applied body force on the this ferromagnetic domains by externally applied magnetic fields. If you are interested in details, you can go to my group website to download the code for this simulation. Also, you can go to this paper to take a look at the details of the theory. We can design different types of magnetic soft robots. For example, here is a 2D origami. We program this ferromagnetic domains in these 2D sheets. So you can see this is a fairly complex domain patterns. Then you apply an external field. They pop up from 2D into 3D, give this a 3D shape. Right? So here is another origami. Without a hand, you do not need to use hand to fold it. Just apply magnetic field. They can deform into 3D. Simulation results, experimental results match very well. Also develop this metamaterials, auxiliary structures. So here, we again program the ferromagnetic domains in this 3D structures, so that when you apply an external magnetic field, those domains will rotate, trying to align towards the applied field. Then the structure shrink in both the length and the width direction, giving you this auxiliary behavior, this negative boson ratio behavior. So that's the key idea. And the unique feature of this magnetic auxiliary structure metamaterial is that you do not need either compress or pull on this structure. Basically, you only need to apply a field that already give you this auxiliary behavior. So that's the difference of this auxiliary structure, magnetic auxiliary structure, and from the existing ones. Then you can even print more complex structures. For example, here we print a small robot, right? So this is a small magnetic soft robots. It can crawl. It can stretch legs. It can roll. So you can see this is we apply a rotating magnetic field, roll around. Then it can stretch leg again, either roll back. Can also even carry drug pills, right? You can see either wrap around this drug pill and roll the drug pill to a desired location, deliver the drug pill, deliver this payload, and then crawl away. So many possibilities and imaginations. Nature called this a quick change artist. So you can see this is quite a nice combination of science and art. And the London Science Museum, actually before the pandemic, this robot was on exhibition at London Science Museum. And they asked a very good question. Could the squeezy robot save lives? Right? That has been the societal impact that we have been targeting on since the first paper of this field, right? So there is a very nice combination of science, art, and even societal impact, right, of the work. So the challenge we target at is really this acute ischemia stroke, right? We know the stroke is the #1 cause of a long-term disability, #4 cause of death in US, but for this ischemia acute stroke, It can be even reversible if it has been treated, within the golden hour, within a couple of hours after the occurrence of the stroke. Right? However, after this golden hour, time lost equal to brain loss. And what to treat this ischemia, this ischemia acute stroke is with this thrombectomy. Right? Basically, you insert a long guide wire all the way from the groin of the patient under the under the imaging guidance of a fluoroscopy, all the way from the groin to the brain of the patient. Right? Then, in order to navigate the complex vasculature system of the human body, the shape of this guide wire is this J shape. You can see. Then the neurosurgeon can rotate this guide wire from outside. Then the J tip can rotate within the blood vessel to navigate the guide wire. So this method works, but there are a number of challenges. Number one, loss of maneuverability under large friction. You can see the path can be quite long. Then due to the large friction, right, you may lose the maneuverability. This is a technical issue, technical challenge, which can be addressed. I will even present some method to address this later. Then the number two challenge, unavailability of doctors, especially in rural areas. This is an intrinsic challenge. You cannot hope to put a neurosurgeon in every small town of the country. Right? That's just impossible. Then, if you are trying to transport the stroke patient from those rural area or small towns to the large medical centers with the availability of neurosurgeons, it may take hours. Then time lost equal to brain loss. Right? Number three, for these heroic doctors, they actually suffer a lot. They suffer from this accumulated radiation from X-ray fluoroscopy, right? So, for the patient, it's a one-time treatment. For these doctors, it's their whole career. So they may suffer from this accumulated radiation. This is another intrinsic challenge, right? How to address these challenges? We propose highly operated autonomous robots. The key idea is now we design this guide wire robots with the magnetic ink I just discussed, and we polarize this ink along the axis of this robot. By the way, this robot is not a J shape anymore. The robot is the tip of this robot is straight, and by applying an external magnetic field, now you can bend this guide wire on demand. Right? When you apply this magnetic field, this guide wire bend on demand, give you a J-shaped tip. Then that can give you on-demand navigation within very complex vasculature systems of even human brain. Right? In addition to that, on the surface of this robot, we grow a layer of hydrogel skin developed by my group that can reduce the friction of this robot over 10 times. If you're interested, you can take a look at this paper to see details of this robot and the hydrogel skin. Then the next question is how to design the most agile soft robot under the actuating magnetic field. Basically, how to let the tip of this robot reach the largest working space, right? Largest working area, so that the robot can navigate to the desired direction, to the desired branches of blood vessel. We use this method of programming ferromagnetic domains to achieve such largest workspace. Basically, now you encode small voxels in this ferromagnetic robot. The concentration of magnetic particles among those voxels can be different, and you program a profile so that this robot can give you the largest workspace, so that the robot is the most agile in some sense for navigation. We adopt this genetic algorithm to design the profile of the ferromagnetic domains. The idea is you first randomly generate around 100 profiles of these ferromagnetic domains for this robot, and then you calculate the workspace. Then you do generic algorithm operation, for example, crossover, mutation, and then you repeat this process. Eventually, the profile with the highest workspace will stand out. So here, surprisingly, you can see this profile with the highest workspace is quite counterintuitive. It's not uniform. You can see at the tip, there is a high concentration of ferromagnetic particles, around 40%. In the center portion, it's actually 0. Then another high concentration, then a relatively low concentration. So you can see this with trial and error, you can never imagine such a profile. But with our genetic algorithm, you can easily design such an optimized or such a maximized workspace for this robot. If you're interested in details, you can take a look at this recent publication on PNAS. Here, let me give one example of the navigation of this robot inside a real-size cerebrovascular phantom with simulated blood. This phantom is made of silicone rubber to approximate the rigidity of realistic blood vessels. And the simulated blood will give you similar friction and similar, this kind of viscosity of realistic blood. Right? I see very smooth navigation over this 3 aneurysm and this quite complex vasculature system of a human brain. Just to put into perspective, these are the 3 locations of the aneurysm. Right? Now, in comparison, let me show you how this passive guide wire works. You can see this is the passive guide wire. The surgeons really need to rotate it all the time in order to navigate it, through those, different pathways. But unavoidably, the guide wire touch the blood vessel, also even touch the aneurysm, right? Here, right, because this radius of curvature of the blood vessel is too small, then this large curvature of this guide wire cannot navigate across this aneurysm. Then the neurosurgeon need to withdraw the guide wire, reshape the tip, and then insert and navigate it again. Right? On the other hand, in comparison with this active magnetic soft guide wire, you can see you can easily navigate this across very complex vasculature systems, across those aneurysms, and then potentially to do different types of treatments. So the previous navigation is a highly operated navigation. Now we are even working on potentially autonomous navigation of this software robot. This is a quite challenging task. So if you think about it, the problem is really this. Now, based on the high quality medical imaging, for example, from the fluoroscope, we know the location of the blood vessel. We also know the location of this guide wire, right? Then the problem is what magnetic field we should apply in order to bend the guide wire towards the desired trajectory. Right? So this is the inverse problem in mechanics. It's quite challenging. However, deep neural network actually is designed to solve such problems. Based on our model capability, we did millions of simulation of different scenarios of this navigation. We feed those results to a deep neural network and then use the neural network to give us a control variable, this applied magnetic field. And then based on that, we can either do autonomous navigation already, or we can have a very good initial guess for feedback control to navigate this guide wire inside blood vessel. So we are currently still working towards this autonomous navigation of this magnetic soft robot inside the blood vessels. Then we can even think further, right? People think AI plus 5G plus robotics will give us autonomous cars, right? scientists work very hard towards this direction, right? However, how about drivers? So many Uber and Lyft drivers will lose their jobs, right? Then how about the pedestrian? If this pedestrian were hit by this car, right, who should be responsible for this car accident, right? The pedestrian, the car owner, the car company, even the scientists who invented this AI program, right? There can be, societal issues. On the other hand, we believe AI plus 5G plus robotics really represent a future medicine, especially in the sector of minimal invasive and robotic surgery, right? Scientists, we are working very hard to achieve this vision, right? We are working with, medical imaging experts. We are working with, robotic scientists. We are working with mechanicians, different experts to achieve this goal. Neurosurgeons, they are actually on board, right? Because we are not replacing neurosurgeons. We are empowering them. They can save more lives remotely, right? They can even, do this operation in a different city, with using their capability to save, many lives across the country. Then for patient, time lost equal to brain loss. So you can see all the stakeholders are on board for this vision, and the technology also converging to the point that this may come true in the near future. And here is just one example. So we developed, fully this system level or this robotic system to navigate the guide wire, microcatheters, and other devices inside the blood vessels of the brain. So here we use a robotic arm to control external magnets to navigate the guide wire, and then we use this joystick to control the advance and the retraction of the guide wire and the microcatheters to do different types of treatments. Right. Here is one example. Right. There's this guide wire, right, navigate around this complex vasculature systems under the control of external robotic arm. By the way, the student controlling this robotic arm is in another room. So the student is really remotely controlling the whole system. You can see this is the navigation under the C-arm fluoroscope. Beautiful navigation. So here is the video image of this robotic arm operate around this phantom. We also show some examples of indications. Here, one is the treatment of aneurysm, the coiling of one aneurysm. You can see here we first navigate a guide wire to the aneurysm and then put a microcatheter there. Then we do this coiling, embolization. The second example is the treatment of clot. So this is ischemia stroke scenario. Right here, you can see we use a piece of hydrogel inside the blood vessel to approximate this clot. We first navigate the guide wire to this clot, and then we advance another microcatheter to the lesion. Right. Beautifully. Then we pierce through the clot, right? Then we retrieve the guide wire. We retrieve the guide wire. We deploy a stent retriever. You see, through the microcatheter. The stent retriever will peer through this clot as well. Then together, you withdraw the microcatheter and the stent retriever. Perfect. So let me conclude. I discussed the vision of magnetic soft robots. One key point is now we can 3D print those soft robots. We also develop a quantitative model that can predict the deformation of the robots for both the design and the control of the robots. We discussed that highly operated and even autonomous control of the robots. We proposed the vision of AI plus 5G plus robotics will give us a future minimal invasive treatment or surgery. For more information, you can take a look at my group site. Acknowledgement. Team member, Kim, who lead this area of my group. Hyun Ik, who developed the 3D printing system. Liu Wang and Rick Zhao, working on the simulation and the modeling aspects of this project. Collaborators, Professor Aman Patel, who is a neurosurgeon from MGH, really a key collaborator for us, give us a lot of extremely valuable guidance and comments and feedbacks in terms of design of the robotic system. Dr. Pablo Halter, Dr. Marcin Beliti from Philips, developing the robotic system together with us. Professor Sean Chester, Professor Pradeep Sharma, developing the models and the simulations of the system. And also funding support. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Xuanhe, for the excellent talk. Again, I want to remind the audience that you can raise your hand or post a question. So I'm going to wait a second to see if there's any questions from the audience. Otherwise, I have a couple of questions to ask them. We have time for one or two questions. I don't see any questions from the audience. So, Xuanhe, one question: what is the resolution of this motion? Is it limited by the resolution of the ferromagnetic domains that you print?
Nicholas, first of all, thank you so much.
Nice.
Thank the organizers for organizing this wonderful symposium. I learned a lot. It's just I have some internet connection issues, so I would like to play pre-recorded video to the audience. Now, in terms of resolution, that's a very good question. So in terms of the resolution for the ferromagnetic domain, currently we can reach the order of 100 micron on that order. Now, in terms of resolution for this navigation or actuation, in terms of deformation, it's also on the order of sub-millimeter level. So you can make quite sharp turns. You can navigate in quite complex neuromusculature systems with relatively high resolution.
Thank you. And my follow-up was regarding the target stiffness of such a device. Are you looking to make something softer or some than existing? The existing catheters and devices, or are you aiming to have something of a similar stiffness, similar in flexibility?
It's a trade-off. Good question. So the question is about the optimal stiffness for this soft robot or this guide wire robot. It's a trade-off for navigation and for this deformability under certain magnetic field. You want to make it soft, right? So that it can. But on the other hand, if you want to pierce through the clot, if you want to do some pre-treatment with this guide wire, you want something relatively stiff. So in the current, or if you want to apply force, you want something relatively stiff. Currently, we have this genetic algorithm to do optimization. So if you put the requirements or the target parameters in, it can give you optimized, relatively optimized design or solution. But this is a multi-variable optimization problem. Still need some work. That's on one hand, on the theoretical hand. For practical applications, This, at least based on the feedback from our, collaborators, this already satisfied their requirements quite nicely because, they can use one, guide bar, do the navigation, and then use another one, do the treatment. So, you do not need to really design such a optimized for them. It will be, nice, but it's not a necessary requirement.
Okay, thank you very much, Xuanhe. Really enjoyed your talk. So, Nanshu, if you could please share your talk. It is our